Now, you just paint a few pictures of this so that we can get a line. Most of these statements people will agree with. And if you don't agree, that's okay, right? You can quickly look it up online. You can do it right now as a search and say what percentage of actions are habitual. Another one would be we make about 33,000 decisions each day. Again, you can look that up. How many decisions do humans make every day on average? And I would refine this by saying 33,000 plus or minus stimulus response cycles. The reason I do this is here's that we're awake about 65,000 seconds a day, roughly. It's obviously going to be different for different people. That's about a decision every other second, which is very, very fast. And anyone would tell you they know that they're not making 33,000 decisions a day. Well, that's probably true if you look at it from a conscious standpoint. But what happens is if you have stimulus, within a quarter of a second, there's a reaction. And then depending on the situation, how wired the person is, how primed they are, what kind of priming is going on, because now you have things like cognitive biases, you have meta programs, and the short version of a meta program, it's bundling of different associations, neural pathways. So we know that habits are essentially neurons firing and wiring. They fire, the ones that fire together, wire together, and this is how you end up with habitual patterns, because there's associations that it processes at 11 million bits per second. So there's a processing speed of 11 million bits per second, whereas the conscious mind only has 50 bits per second. And obviously the conscious mind is no match when it comes to that processing speed. The meta programs, when we run something over and over and over, it becomes a bundle of associations that automatically kick off. You might see this happening with a person you're in a conversation, and there's a particular topic comes up, and they're off on and running onto this unrelated rant because it's just a set of associations when people get triggered. And then they do things like automatically. It's like it's an out-of-body experience, like they're out of control. Some of the quote unquote, the Karen videos that you can see that there's like this track that they're on, and it has nothing to do with reality. And that's a good example of a meta program. It's more complicated than that. But if you get the idea that there's 100 billion neurons and the neural pathways that are related to muscle memory are the same, it's the same system that works with that thinking as what we speak. And there's associations in there. So habits are based on associations, and they're largely from the past. We have all of that going on. Now, there's two ways that this can go. One is that the reaction equals the response. The other way we can go is we can wait a little over a quarter of a second for the conscious mind to catch up. The reason I say a little over a quarter of a second because, and these are averages, so there's going to be plus or minus. I mean, athletes, well-trained athletes have reaction times as low as 150 milliseconds, so just over a tenth of a second. If you're distracted or tired or otherwise compromised, your conscious reaction time could be much more than half a second. This is why they say people speaking on the phone have a reaction time, even if it's hands-free. While driving, they have a reaction time that's comparable to someone who's alcohol impaired. The other reason I say a little over a quarter second is because not only do we want the conscious mind to catch up, it only processes at 50 bits per second. So we need it to be able to process a little bit, at least start processing, and then we can have a response. So I'm very much about not letting the reaction become the response. Too often, the reaction is a survival reaction, and survival reactions are based on intense associations from the past, and it's most likely going to be the wrong thing. When you see people getting triggered or they lash out, or you can almost see it, the telling tension comes up, sometimes they just interrupt. Those are survival reactions, and it could be something as simple as when they were 4 years old and they felt threatened, they blurted something out and the threat went away. This is what happens with dogs, right? You see dogs barking. A lot of times they bark like that at people because they found out that, gee, if I bark and growl, I create space because I really don't want these people petting me. And they create some space, and it works. And they may not be mean, aggressive dogs. But if they're doing that, they appear to be mean and aggressive, and eventually maybe the two come together. I'm not, that's beyond what I want to talk about here.